بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين رحمة للعالمين أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على وآل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين أما بعد فقد قال الله تعالى في كتاب الحكيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وننزل من القرآن ما هو شفاء ورحمة للمؤمنين صلوات على محمد. We have our topic for these 5 nights with you on a very important issue, which is to explore Quran in a very different way. We have assigned an objective for ourselves during these 5 nights that I'm with you. I hope you agree. It is to do with the understanding of the very purpose of the revelation. I'm not sure what this noise is all about. Can we close that door or something? I have recited an ayah for you which is part of the message that you and I need to revive. The Quran has come in order to heal us, to provide sources that would cure us. And it is also a blessing, it is also the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because we firmly believe that we need to ask a question about our own life goal. If you look at the way we humans function in the society, thank you very much, then it becomes very clear that one of the goals of the human society is to relate human beings with other human beings. We are constantly trying to perfect the way we relate to one another. Whether it is the natural relationship that we have with our family members, to whom we are related in blood, or we have contractual agreements and intentional relations in the society. The goal is to find a way of creating a healthy society. Human beings are not only social beings, but they are also free human beings. They need to make a decision about their lives on their own. We are born with some kind of autonomy, independence, and we go through our own lives to see that on many occasions, had it not been for autonomy, we would have decided something what was pressurized on us. But we made a decision. And we are willing to face the decisions, the consequences of the decisions that we make. A very important question that you and I need to ask today is, what is an ethical decision making? When does ethics begin? What are the boundaries of ethics? We all use ethics, and ethics is becoming a very common word today. If you look at this cover, here is akhlaq. Here is economics, and the power. So economics, power, and akhlaq, ethics are together today. We never used to think that all areas are covered by ethics, because we made decisions many a times that were not ethical. And we thought it was not within the boundaries of ethics. But now you and I know that at every moment that you begin to relate yourself to another human being, you are being asked to raise the question for yourself, am I doing it right? If you don't ask that question, then you do not know how to proceed in your relationship. If I call you my friend, the moment I do it, I am relating myself to you at a very intimate level as a friend. I'm not saying you are my acquaintance. I'm saying you are my friend. I regard you as my friend. And immediately, there is reciprocity in our relationship because I claim you to be my friend. There are certain obligations that are imposed on me the moment I say the word friend. Look at all the relationship that you and I have in this world, starting from very close family relationships to the neighborhoods, to the citizenship, and to the global connections. They all are telling us that there is a level of, there is a scale of right and wrong in everything. Nothing is without the scale of right and wrong. Don't ever tell yourself, in this particular instance, there is no ethics. You are simply running away from your responsibility. When the organization says we are going to meet at 7:30, automatically it creates an ethical responsiveness in people who are going to attend. They might ask, should we attend on time or should we go late? And the way you make a decision is all based upon your understanding of the timeliness of your event and your responsibility to make it a successful event. If you didn't do it, then according to the Quran, you are not seeking the sources of healing and becoming better. ننزل من القرآن That's how the ayah comes. And it says, we are revealing, we are telling you about this science in which ma huwa, there is shifa for the people in it. There is mercy for the people in it. It's not for the people in general. I want you to understand this, that it is specifying the audience of the Quran. The audience of the Quran is the believers. Those who have agreed that we will believe that this is the source of my guidance. It's not the guidance that you chose for yourself. Then it will have been infused in you. We'll talk about it. One of the sources of human moral behavior is the nature in which you and I have been created. Our nature demands a scale of right and wrong. Always from the time you are born and you begin to use the language to decide what you want to express from your inside feelings, there is always the question, is this right or wrong? I am moving a little slow at the moment because I want to prepare you for a larger task that I have for you. I want you to keep in mind that I've come with a specific objective. I'm dealing with you like I would deal with my students in the university. It's not a majlis. It's a lecture for which I have spent a lot of time preparing. It's not as in Farsi they say, mandara wurdi. You go and bluff and go and entertain people and go away. No, I have come with a very important message because I don't come every year. I don't come very often anymore. So whenever I come, then I have a goal for myself. And I have an ethical responsibility to fulfill my obligation. Because God has given me the ability to speak in front of you, I carry on a greater burden. I cannot fool myself. So the scope is very clear. What I want to do in these 5 lectures is to enhance ethical and spiritual content of the Quran. I am using spiritual. Please understand what I'm saying. There is something within you that will change. Because khuluq, akhlaq means your inner being. You have 2 parts. You have a body externally. You have something with which I identify you. But there is something within you through which you identify yourself. That inner personality is spiritual. We all have it. Some of us pay attention to it, some of us ignore it. We are too superficial to handle such an important gift to us. It's a gift that God has given us. To learn the Quran for moral religious action guide. And I am talking about action guide for everything you do. Please learn to ask the question, is it something worth doing? From what angle? From the angle of the rightness and the wrongness. Always be careful then whatever you do, there is somebody's right involved. As a spouse, as a parent, as a child in the family, everywhere you go, you have something that is telling you to define your parameters, to tell you very clearly where do you stand vis-a-vis this responsibility. You cannot handle the way very wishy-washy about your relationships. You can't do that. The moment you begin to do it, your spirituality will diminish, will go down and down and down. And the reason why the Quran says that this is a guidance for mu'mineen. Wouldn't it be better if the Quran had said, this is for makhluqeen, for all the human beings? It doesn't do it because there is a special element that Imam Ali alayhi salam is going to add to it. Imam Ghazali, in his book, Mizanul Amal, which is actually a book that deals with human action. How do I act? What do I do in a certain condition? How should I be behaving? How should I be reacting? There are big courses being handled today to teach executives how to behave. It's a very important art. There are leadership conferences being held in major universities to teach leaders how to behave. I wish Mr. Trump would go in one of those meetings. What I'm suggesting is very important to keep in mind. Moral religious action guide is built upon one question that you would ask yourself, and you must ask yourself, why? Have you seen the children? Janamaz par. Go and pray. So why, Mom? Why? You don't satisfy your children. You don't tell them why they should be praying. They will never be convinced. Why should they be praying? They need to be convinced. That's the action guide. Your action is guided by an understanding of why you should be doing it. Why should I be telling the truth all the time? Why can I not sacrifice truth for once and tell a lie to get around, to claim things? Why can't I do it? The moment you give yourself an excuse of breaking the guidance in the action, it becomes part of your personality. Then you are known in the society as a bluffer, the one who bluffs all the time. How you say in Gujarat, moti moti bato kare che. And there are many like this. There are hundreds. You just go around in your office, sit there and see how many people are bluffing. Because it is part of what I call putting up with appearances. That's not a religious action guide. That's not a moral action guide. Because you can't sacrifice your principles. What I'm searching for is values. I want to identify for you the pillars of human character formation. But I told you what Imam Ali is going to tell us. Because my search has been, I'm a humanist and I'm a universalist. I believe all human beings must be guided. And all human beings have the seed in them to be guided. But there's something very important that is needed first in me, then in others. I need that seed. Imam Ghazali in his Mizanul Amal is quoting Imam Ali. Said, Qala Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. What did he say? الإيمان يبدو في القلب نقطة بيضاء. Belief begins with a white dot in your being. Qalb here is not just the heart, it is your total being. In your being, your iman begins with a small light, with a small dot. كلما ازداد الإيمان, as the iman begins to grow, ازداد ذلك البياض. That whiteness becomes more and more and more. إذا استكمل عبد إيمان أبجد الكلمة القلب كله. When the iman becomes perfected, the heart becomes white with light, what you and I would call enlightened. In other words, it starts with a small dot. You remember Christians, Quaker Christians have a very important universal belief that all human beings are endowed with a light, with a spark. And that spark grows into something much larger. Here Imam Ali is talking about it. Imam Ghazali's point is that you need that grain of faith to take you to the larger area of your perfection. In other words, what I'm searching for here in this lectures is practical aspects of moral character building. What is it that is going to help me build the character that I'm working on, I'm looking for? So now, ethics is revolving around certain values. Now I want to identify those 3 values which are part of the action guide. Try to remember these three points. They're very easy to talk about. You and I use these words all the time. Al-Jamal, beauty. God gives this as a value. You always search for beauty in everything and anything that you do. The second is al-khair, the right thing, to do the good thing. And the third is wal-haq. It is the truth. So there are 3 values that are extremely central, essential, and critical for the moral formation. And the moment you sacrifice any one of them, you are doomed to failure. There's beauty, there is good, and there is truth. It's sometimes easy to hold to the good, it's easy to hold to the beauty, but very difficult to hold on to the truth. It's not easy at all. And therefore the Quran comes quite clearly saying that, look, I'm not claiming to do the hidayah for everyone. No, I will not do that. Inna hadha al-Quran yahdi lillati hiya aqwam. This Quran is going to guide only those who are willing to be upright. Ritualize Quran as much as you want. Read it 1,000 times as much as you want. The Quran hasn't come for that. 3 times Yasin, 3 times this, 3 times that. No. You forgot. You don't even remember what the Quran came for. يهدي للتي هي أحسن. لا يهدي للتي هي أقوم. It has come to guide those who have already made up their mind that I want an upright life. I want a moral upbringing. Not only in myself, but in my children, in my family. I'm not going to sacrifice for that. And then the Quran says, okay, in that case, I hold your hand. I'll walk you. Imam Ali says, At-tuqa ra'isul akhlaq. Moral and spiritual well-being, moral and spiritual awareness are the leaders of ethics. So what I'm trying to tell you is that in human relationship, you need ethics all the time. Otherwise, hypocrisy will take you over. It's very easy to become hypocrite. You don't even realize. And especially Shaitan is so expert in making us feel so good about what we do. And it creates in us what we call nuqtatun nifaq, hypocrisy in us. To defeat it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I'm going to help you out, but I want some commitment from you. I will not give you anything free. The only thing I have given you free from the moment you were born was your fitrat. Only thing free that I have given you is your nature. Your nature is bound to move you towards the best of the behavior. Human decency, then, it is correct that human rights document, which is a secular document, was based on this very basic understanding that human beings have decent moral understanding. They did not bring God. Human rights document, they did not bring God. They did not speak about nature. They wanted to keep away with any kind of entanglement with the religion. But they were dependent on something that Christianity taught very well. Christianity said, human beings are born in the image of God. Imago Dei, as they would say it. It's the image of God. What Islam said was that human being is born with the nur, with the light. That light develops in such a way that human beings become part of that larger light that not only enlightens the person inside, but also enlightens people around the person. What we want to understand is the Quranic terminology. I want to understand something very important in my lectures, and this is what I want to emphasize upon, is that there's been a lot of opposition by the secularists to reject natural law thesis, which is propounded by those who believe in God. Natural law thesis simply believes that human beings are capable of knowing right and wrong simply by using their reason. They can know it. But what if the reason is clouded by self-interest, clouded by self-aggrandizement, self-importance, self-centeredness? What if this reason doesn't function the way it ought to function? After all, didn't Kant say that your pure reason is capable of leading you to the imperative that you need to follow in your life? This is modern, this is enlightenment. What I want to emphasize here, that without that infused morality in us, we'll have no value as human person. The difference between human beings and other beings is the infusion of that light in us, of that nature in us. That natural disposition, infused nature, well-formed spiritual condition, which habitually leads to the good behavior. Habitually. A person who is known to be telling truth will always tell the truth. Habitually. Habitation is very important in getting the hulk, getting the morality deep into your own being. And therefore it becomes the inner self. I was doing research very recently on Ibn Khaldun's Muqaddimah. I was interested in what the Western scholars have always said about Islam, that Islam does not pay attention to ethics. I don't know where they got it from, I have no idea. And we all believe it, and we all repeat. It's very interesting. What they say, we repeat it. Because they are Western. They are superior than us. That's what happens in the universities, right? We have lost our ability to be original in our thinking. We're always copying them. And Marshall Hossain, as a historian, was right. A copier is always 2 steps behind. Can never reach. He's copying all the time. I want to look like so-and-so. I want to look like so-and-so. Well, okay, do it. But you will lose your originality, won't you? Ibn Khaldun, they said, never said anything about ethics. It was a major charge. A scholar who has the history of Islamic sciences, in his 3rd volume of Muqaddimah, which has been translated by Franz Rosenthal, in the 3rd volume he gives the history of Islamic sciences. Not a word about ethics. I searched, page to page. Index, everywhere, no ethics. Does it mean that Ibn Khaldun is not paying attention to an important part? And he is a philosopher. He is very much influenced by the Greek philosophy. And Greek philosophy cannot do without morals. The first thing you read in Aristotle is Nicomachean ethics. How to think ethically. What is it that makes you a good person? What is it that makes you a virtuous person? That's something that we learned, and we Muslims learned from Aristotle. And we still teach Aristotelian ethics in our madrasas, by the way. There's nothing wrong. Knowledge belongs to human beings. It doesn't mean that if the Greeks were ahead of us, maybe if we were put in that same position, we would have come with similar ideas at that point. Environment makes a difference. Social environment, political environment, economic environment, they all create knowledge. What I discovered about Ibn Khaldun was, he was a Maliki jurist. He was a faqih. He studied jurisprudence. He was the qadi appointed in Cairo for 20 years as qadi of the Maliki school. And he did his work very well. When you look at his biography, then he talks about, a woman came and she said that she wanted a divorce from her husband for the reasons 1, 2, 3. And she demanded that she should be given that right to demand for a divorce. And the rights of divorce are unilaterally given to men in the Islamic law. Here was the case with, Ibn Khaldun as the judge. A rationalist, a philosopher, a secularist in every sense of the word secularist. But sitting with extreme knowledge about the world history. And he wrote the fatwa, he wrote the ruling, so to speak. As a lawyer, as a jurist, he was supposed to write it. So he wrote that, in this case, I recognize that this Muslim woman has grievances against her husband, and she has a right to get the divorce from him. He gave right to the woman to ask for the divorce. It was very uncommon. The Maliki law is the most conservative. It's the Medina school. The Malikis claim that they are following the Prophet. They're following the Ahl al-Madina. Therefore, they can't do this, they can't be liberal in that sense. Very conservative. And yet, Ibn Khaldun said, in this case, I recognize it. Nobody asked him, why did you make that ruling? Why did you give that judgment? They did not. A mufti is not, and he has no obligation to explain how he arrived at that decision. It's clear. Mujtahid can give the fatwa, but he doesn't have to explain to you where did he do his research, how did he do his research. It's true. It's true even today. You read the books of the rulings of the mujtahid, they say he doesn't have to explain to anyone. His students might know. His colleagues might know, but you and I as ordinary people, we can't ask him, can you tell us what was your reasoning behind it? No, he will never tell us. It's none of your business. Don't ask me. It's like, just like, no accounts. Don't ask us about accounts. We are accountable to God. Now, that is a different issue. The knowledge is a different issue. Because there's an ethic of responsibility. How I arrived at the decision. What I'm suggesting here that Ibn Khaldun, although he never used the word akhlaq in his writings anywhere, I checked it again and again, that whole section of the history of Islamic sciences, but it is totally dependent upon understanding human actions, intentions of human actions, and consequences of human actions. Are you with me? Intentions, consequences. How do I make a decision? Am I worried about what will happen if I did this? If I do this, then that's ethics. The Quran came with the words describing the Prophet, إِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. He's talking about the Prophet. And he's saying that, O Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, you are the major ethical figure. إِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. You are a heavyweight when it comes to morality. Ibn Abbas was contemplating on it, and they asked him, what does that mean? What does that mean? What is God trying to tell the Prophet? And Ibn Abbas was very, very careful. He was a thorough politician, by the way. He was mufassir, but he knew the times very well. He said, yes, God is making us understand that if there is any example that you need to seek as the example for morality, then you will have to look at the Prophet. He is the one who will guide you, who will provide you with the action guide. But then Ibn Abbas is adding, and he says, actually, إِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ actually means إِنَّكَ لَعَلَى دِينٍ الْعَظِيمٍ. You are on the bed, great religion. What was meant here, by the way, was quite clear, and I think it became quite obvious that the Prophet was teaching the religion, but the religion was totally dependent upon morality. There was no book on creeds in the early days of Islam. By this I mean the creed that you and I may expect 5 usul ad-din and 5 this or 5 that. There was nothing like that. The Prophet taught religion the way he presented religion in his own behavior. His behavior was religion. Are you with me? He was trying to teach religion in a practical way. And the practical way was to say that your good character is dependent upon you following me in word and deed. And he did not like, to brag about things. The Prophet ﷺ was very humble. Unlike the moderns who like to talk about ourselves, we are big, we are this, we are that. The moderns are lost case in some senses. When it comes to character, we have actually murdered morality in the public life. You want to read books about that? There are so many of them, including our own people. We have murdered. We don't even talk about morality anymore. We don't talk about ethics anymore. We talk about Shariat. We talk about halal and haram. Is halal and haram not ethical? All depends how you're hearing it. If it is only eating McDonald's hamburger, then it is halal or haram. But if it is eating from illegitimate sources of income, then that's a major issue. It's a major ethical issue. That's not what the Sharia is going to answer to you. Sharia is saying that you are supposed to ask those questions yourself. Am I earning licitly or illicitly? I'm in a job, I'm in a profession, I don't follow any rules, anything, I do whatever pleases me. Am I not answerable to someone? Am I not accountable to someone? Am I not transparent enough for people to see where I stand on certain issues? سعة الأخلاق كيمياء الأرزاق. Imam Ali in the fourth item, Imam Ali is saying that Si'atul Akhlaq, Kimel Arz, you are earning. I have heard people telling me that as much as I earn, there is no barakat. Haven't you heard it? Barakat nathi, paisa ma barakat nathi. Of course barakat nahi hoye. Why should there be barakat? You're only gathering the money for yourself. You're not ever thinking about others who need that money from you. How are you going to see the barakat? The barakat is very much dependent upon si'atul akhlaq. And akhlaq means I'm worried about you. How much are you making? If you're not making enough, then I should help you. In the worst economic embargo in Iran, I used to talk to the young people married in a family, 3, 4 brothers living together, and they would tell me that, I don't have enough, but my brother helps me. I don't have enough, my sister helps me. Do we hear that kind of talk among ourselves? That me as a brother goes and helps my brother? Or me as, I think that it's very important to keep in mind is that the risk Allah is sending us is very much dependent upon the way we expend from that risk. If we don't expend from that risk, this Bill Gates, I was reading his biography, and his wife was the one who was telling us, that my husband works at home. We have divided labor at home. He helps in everything, from cooking to cleaning, everything he does. And he's a billionaire. I don't know how many billion he has. I have no idea. But the wife was saying that the success of our marriage is very much dependent upon we as partners in everything that we do. Ask many men, many Muslim men, how lazy they are. How, the wives are working, they sit down, they are being served a cup of tea. So many things happens in our lives that you and I don't even pay attention. It's normal because it's part of the culture. It has been accepted as part of the culture. We don't think it has anything to do with spirituality. It has anything to do with akhlaq, with the morality. We don't see those connections. What I want to emphasize in this first lecture is that anything and everything you do has an ethical component. You have to discover it. You have to find it. Me coming here and wasting your time for 1 hour, how many hours have I spent here? If there are 100 people, then I've taken 100 hours of yours. And I entertain you, not tell you the truth, not tell you anything on research that I've done. Ethically, I am wrong. Do you see what I'm talking about? Ethically, I'm wrong. I'm a teacher, I'm a mother, I'm a father, I'm a brother, I'm a spouse, husband, wife. All of these put together, and you have this, the goal of the character. Insan al-Kamil. They say about this Abdul Qadir Gilani, they say he had 52 children. This is Sufi master, by the way. He is Ghaus-e-Azam of the Sunni world. 52 children. How is it possible? He was always meditating. He was always praying. He was always in hal, maqam, he was in irfan. You see the modern day religion, how they, when they go into this hal and how, the drugs help them to go into that hal, and what happens to them? Here is Gilani, he was a very simple man. And Gilani's one virtue that I always remember is that don't expect others to be perfect when you are not perfect yourself. Don't tell others to be perfect when you are struggling to imperfection. And that's where the ethics begin. I want to bring to the conclusion a very important event in the life of Imam Ali alayhi salam. These are the nights of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Imam Ali, I must be very honest with you that as much as you explore him, as much as you know him, as much as you read about him, it's not enough. It's not enough. But I was looking for the topic and the way I would end my lecture tonight, and I said, wow, everybody knows about it, what happened, Everybody, they hear the same story. 19th night came, he did iftar here, How about looking at a teacher whose disciple is a dedicated person? The teachers are known through the disciples. Teachers are known through their students. A good student carries on. It's like the good child. It's not only genetic transference that occurs in the loins. There's something very important that is passed on to the next generation. My good habits are also passing on to the next generation. My bad habits also are coming to them. I need to clear my account so that I can present a better statement of what I am to my children. It's required, it's a must. One should do it. And this is what you do when you write the wasiyah. When you write the wasiyah, this is what you do. You are taking account of everything that you did. Don't tell lies in the wasiyah. Tell the truth about yourself, about what you do, about how you will do it, how you want it to be done. That's the wasiyah. Usikum bi taqwallah. We are always told in the khutbah, I am, advising you, I am recommending to you the fear of God. I am recommending to you the moral and the spiritual responsibility you have. That's a given. When I look at Imam Ali's one occasion, I realized what an Imam we had. I'm telling you, there is no other person. And this is in the Battle of Siffin. In the Battle of Siffin, there was one person who comes very often to Imam Ali. And I'm reminded of, I'll tell you just now, Ammar ibn Yasir. Ammar was exceptional youth during the time of the Prophet. The Prophet used to love this youth. Ammar was extremely honest. her celebrated mother Sumayya, who was tortured and killed. This was Ammar. Ammar had a very different understanding of the Prophet's position, which you and I need to somehow understand quite clearly, that the Prophet ﷺ was in such a position that had he not been a moral exemplar, then the wahy would not have come to him. It's impossible that the wahy would have come to him. It's not possible to imagine that if the Prophet was not prepared within himself to be the receptacle of that message, the message would have been given to him. It's not possible. Surah Al-Muzammil that we read, and one ayah was passed by, I think, and I remember, I said, oh my goodness, this is something. I need to at least say a word about it, because Surah Muzammil was recited. Murtaza was right. He asked, what is the significance of this surah being recited? And I thought that there was something about it. I don't know why the decision was made to recite this surah, but there was one ayah that caught my attention. And this is the ayah that Dr. Surush and others have used to show the importance of the prophethood. It is talking about the Prophet. By the way, Muzammil is the Prophet himself. إِنَّا سَنُلْقِ عَلَيْكَ قَوْلًا ثَقِيلًا. We're going to convey to you a heavy-going message. قَوْلًا ثَقِيلًا. In the Quran, actually, this surah is saying that we know that you work very hard. Whole day you are working. Whole day you are taking care of the people. But we're also going to give you a heavier message. This is Meccan surah. The mission had just started. Now he's now progressing, and the Quran saying that you better be prepared. So Mufassirin, those who have read this ayah, they have worked on it in the tafsir, and they all came to the same ayah, إِنَّكَ لَعَلَىٰ خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. They've connected this, that khuluq al-azim is very, very difficult to maintain. If you bother me too much, let's say I'm eating, if you don't let me eat, I'll tell you, stop, I want to eat. The Prophet did not do that. He never did that. He never went to pick up his food first. From all that account that we read, he was the last one to go and pick up the food. He would make sure that everybody eats first. Then he eats. Now, this is qawlan saqila. This is the heaviness of the burden of what you believe in and what you are being taught. Because qawl here is not saying, it's what you believe in, what you are committed to. That's qawlan sadid. And this is why, the Prophet is being prepared. When you look at the Prophet's life, then you understand why Ammar ibn Yasir is so dedicated to the Prophet. And the Prophet was worried because on one occasion he had to do taqiyya. He had to say something he did not believe in. And the Quran came to its defense, to the defense of Ammar, the young man. Said, yes, he said it, but his heart believed it. So his heart is far more important from what he said. If only we could do that, by the way, so that we could know the true intention of the one who says something. But not only that, he was told by the Prophet that you will be killed by a group that is very nasty. Fi'atun baghiya, unjust group. The hadith was mutawatir. Everybody knew about it. So when they saw Ammar in Siffin, they said, oh my God, Ammar is with Ali ibn Abi Talib. And the Prophet has said, anybody who kills him is from the nasty group, corrupt group. So everybody was avoiding him. Nobody wanted to fight him. And Imam Ali, they actually, what they did was, Banu Umayyah were known for it. They put the entire blame on Ali. Said, he brought him. Therefore, he is the one. Actually, it was Muawiyah. Muawiyah was the one. And Muawiyah, look at the way history treated Muawiyah. Muawiyah now is in Jannah. Can you imagine? This is the same man. He's among the Asharat al-Mubashshara, the 10 people promised by the Prophet to go, as if Jannat is the property of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. No, it is not. It is Allah's property. Allah can send anybody He wants. But the Ummah did. Ummah sent Muawiyah to Jannat. Ammar was careful. I have been told, I'll be drinking milk with you. I don't know, Laban, what it means. Is it Halib? It's not Halib, Laban. But he came 3-4 times to Imam Ali. Give me a cup of milk. Give me a cup of milk. This is Siffin. Now Imam Ali is standing at the last time, and as Ammar talks to him, he said, Mawla, you remember the time? You remember the time of the Prophet? And they both are crying. And I see Imam Ali holding the horse of Ammar like Imam Hussain was holding the horse of Ali Akbar on the Ashura day. It immediately came to my mind. I said, oh my God, there is a semblance here. Now on the Ashura day, Imam Hussain was holding the horse of Ali Akbar. Said, you go. Ammar went. And he was beheaded. He was killed. Imam Ali cried for him. And he took Allah, he says, Ya Allah, you are the witness what they have done to him. This man, he was something. In other words, Imam Ali was showing his love for him. And that's what Imam Hussain did, right? Ali Akbar, when he went out, Imam Hussain said, Ya Allah, anta shahidun. You are a witness. Look at this. Look at this community. Now someone has come among, and Ali Akbar was 19 years old. Ali Akbar was 19 years old. And look at that father who's looking at the son and says, Ya Allah, whenever I wish to see your Prophet, I used to look at his visage, at his face, and I was satisfied that I've seen the Prophet. Now he is going. Ya Allah, give us the ability to follow the path of Ali. Allahumma ahyini kama ahyayta alayhi Ali ibn Abi Talib wa amitni ala ma mat alayhi Ali ibn Abi Talib. Ya Allah, make our life like the life of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Pure, morally upright, self-sacrificing. And make our death the death of Ali ibn Abi Talib. More tomorrow night, but let us pray, all of us, that Ya Allah bless those who are not with us tonight. All our parents, all those spirits who want to be connected with us. Remember this all the time that I said it on 19th night, that your connection with the spiritual world is not severed by the death of the dear one and your family. Whether it is your parents, your brother, your sister, they will always be with you, connected to the Spirit. And you'll remember them by doing things that they would have appreciated if they had done themselves. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.